They say not every mother is the same. Mothers come into your life like cool rain, full of love, prayers, and protection. But others come like a storm, dangerous, loud, and full of secrets. Veronica was the storm. She was not your usual IZ. She was not your usual mother-in-law. No, Veronica was the kind of woman who didn't believe in getting old. She dressed like a teenager, talked like a city girl, and walked like the streets still belonged to her. Her lips were always red. Her skirts were always short. Her laugh was loud. Her presence heavy like perfume in a small room. To her, being a mother didn't mean acting like one. And her daughter's husband, he wasn't family. He was a new target. This story is not a joke. It is real. And it is painful. Nancy, her daughter, had no idea what was coming. She was a good woman, quiet, kind, respectful. It's the kind of woman people pray for. She smiled softly, worked hard, and loved deeply. Her heart was clean, her dreams were simple. All she wanted was peace, a happy home, a good marriage. And she found that in Amika. Amika was a man people respected, tall like a tree, gentle like water. His voice was soft, smile calming. He had built a big life with cars, houses, businesses, and respect in the community. But most of all, he had love. Deep, pure love for Nancy. Everything was perfect, except one thing. Veronica, even before the wedding. Nancy always feared her. Mother, not because of hate, but because she knew her. She knew what her mother was capable of. Veronica was her mother by blood, yes, okay, but her ways were not of a mother. Her eyes never rested. Her words were sharp. Her behavior, dangerous. She had given birth to Nancy as a teenager. After being thrown out by her parents, she struggled in the streets. At first, she sold oranges, then pure water. But soon, men began to notice her beauty. One man offered food for her body. Another gave her shelter for a night. She gave in. From that moment, Veronica changed. She entered the world of fast money and fast men. Every day, a new dress. Every night, a new bed. Her body became her business. Her beauty, her weapon. Nancy grew up inside that life. But she did not become like her mother. No, she taught herself how to be better. She cleaned. She studied. She kept quiet. She dreamed of a peaceful life. When she met Amika, her heart told her this was the one. A good man, a kind man. Someone who could give her the life she never had. They fell in love. And when he proposed, she cried tears of joy then. One day, while they were sitting in the living room drinking juice, Nancy looked at him and said softly, "I want my mom to visit." Just for a few days before the wedding. Amika looked at her with calm eyes. "Are you sure?" "She's my mother," Nancy said. "She should see where I'll live." Amika paused, then nodded. "Okay, if it makes you happy." Nancy smiled brightly and hugged him. "Thank you, baby." The next day, in the evening, there was a knock at the door. Nancy ran to open it. "Mommy!" she shouted. "Dot!" There stood Veronica, dressed like she was going to a nightclub. Her jeans were tight, her shoulders bare. Her perfume filled the air before her words came. She hugged Nancy tight and said, Ah, you didn't tell me you're living like a queen." But as she said it, her eyes were moving. Looking at the TV, the gold frames, the marble floor, the ceiling lights, her eyes were dancing, not with joy, but with hunger. Then she saw Amika. Her smile changed, not wider, deeper. Her eyes became slow. Her lashes blinked like butterflies. Her voice dropped. "So, this is the husband." Nancy smiled. "Yes, Mommy. Meet Amika." Veronica stretched out her hand slowly. "You are more handsome than I imagined," she said, her voice like cold water on hot skin. Amika gave a polite smile. "You're welcome, Ma." That night, things started to shift. Veronica sat on the couch like the house was hers. She crossed her legs. She laughed louder than the TV. She looked at Amika with strange eyes. Nancy brought food. Veronica tasted it and smiled. "This chicken tastes like money," she said, laughing. Then she turned to Amika. "Your woman is lucky." After that moment, she didn't look at Nancy again, only at Amika. From the next day, things got worse. Veronica walked out of the guest room wearing clothes that looked like they belonged to a teenager. Her shorts were too short. Her top was so thin it was almost see-through. When she walked, her hips moved too much. When she bent down, she didn't bend like a mother. She bent like she wanted someone to look. Amika noticed everything. He felt the way her eyes followed him, the way she sat beside him too close, the way her laugh was too loud. One day he was sitting on the couch watching TV. Veronica came and sat beside him. Their arms touched. He moved away. She moved closer. "You like sitting here, don't you?" she asked. Amika gave a small smile. "Yes, Ma." She touched his arm. Strong muscles. "You go to the gym?" He stood up quickly. "Let me check something in the kitchen." She laughed softly. "No problem. I'll wait. Another day." During lunch, she stretched her foot under the table and rubbed Amika's leg. He froze. She didn't even flinch. She just took a sip of juice and smiled. Amika's heart beat fast. He was shocked, angry, but also afraid. How do you tell your fiancée that her own mother is doing these things? How do you say it without breaking her heart? So he stayed silent. He buried the truth deep inside him, but silence is like fire. It grows each day. Veronica grew bolder, and Amika grew more uncomfortable. Then came that night. Rain was falling hard. Thunder roared in the sky. The wind blew through the curtains like a ghost. Amika sat alone in the living room. The house was quiet, too quiet then. His phone rang. They say when a snake hides under your roof, it doesn't hiss. It waits. It watches. It strikes when you least expect. And the worst kind of snake is the one you call mother. Veronica was not just a guest. She was not just a visitor. She was a danger wearing red lipstick and short skirts. And on that rainy night, the house became a battlefield. Amika sat alone in the living room. Rain was falling like buckets from the sky. Thunder was loud. The power had blinked once, but the light stayed. He'd just finished some work emails and was watching the news. Then his phone rang. It was Nancy. She had gone out earlier to buy some wedding items with her friend and was calling to say she'd stay at her friend's house due to the heavy rain. "Baby, don't worry," she said. "I'll come in the morning." Amika smiled softly. "'Kay, stay safe." He ended the call, placed the phone beside him, and leaned back. That's when he heard it. Soft footsteps. Slowly coming from the hallway, the guest room. Veronica. She walked into the living room slowly, like a cat in the dark. She wore a long silky gown that clung to her body like a second skin. Her hair was open. Her face glowed in the low light. And her eyes were fixed on Amika, like a lion looking at meat. Amika sat up straight. "Ma, is everything okay?" She didn't answer immediately. She walked closer, her hips swinging. She smiled. "It's cold," she said. "I couldn't sleep." "Oh," Amika said, uncomfortable. "You want me to bring you a blanket?" She laughed. No. I just thought I could sit here with you a bit. Talk." Before he could reply, she sat beside him. To close again. "Where's Nancy?" she asked. "She'll sleep at her friend's. The rain is too heavy." Veronica smiled again. But this time, her smile was different. There was no kindness in it. Only hunger. "Good," she said softly. Then silence. Amika was stiff. He could feel the tension. He didn't know where to look. His eyes stayed on the TV, but his mind was racing. His body was frozen. Then Veronica placed her hand on his thigh. Not his arm, not his shoulder, his thigh. Slowly, boldly, Amika jumped. "To his feet, Ma? Please don't do that," he said firmly. Veronica stood up too, calm, confident. "What's wrong?" she asked with a smirk. "You're a grown man. I'm a grown woman. Why pretend?" He looked at her, eyes wide. "You are my fiancé's mother." "And so," she said, "do you think I didn't see how you look at me too? Do you think I don't know what men want?" "Your eyes talk, Amika." He shook his head. You're wrong. I respect you. I love Nancy. Veronica stepped closer. Nancy is soft. Too soft. You need a woman who knows how to handle a man like you. Amika stepped back. Kayles, please go to your room, Ma. I don't want any problems. She laughed. A slow, wicked laugh. Problem? You think this is a problem, Amika? You're already mine. You just don't know it yet. She walked past him, brushing her body against his as she returned to the guest room. Amika stood there for a while, breathing hard. His hands were shaking. He went to his room, locked the door, and sat on the bed, heart racing. The next morning, Nancy returned. Veronica acted like nothing happened. She smiled. She cooked. She even told Nancy she wanted to help with more wedding plans. Amika said nothing. He didn't want to break Nancy's heart. He thought maybe Veronica would stop. Maybe it was just a one-time madness. But it WASN single quotes T. every day. She did more. One day when Nancy went to the market, Veronica came to the bathroom where Amika was brushing his teeth and stood at the door with just a towel. Another time, she entered his room pretending to look for a charger but sat on his bed instead. Amika couldn't take it anymore. He had to say something that night after dinner. He told Nancy everything. She was silent at first. Then her hands began to shake. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just stood up and went into the guest room. What happened in that room? No one knows. But Veronica left the house that same night, without her bag, without her shoes. She just left. Nancy came back to the living room and sat beside Amika. I'm sorry, she whispered. He held her hand. It's not your fault. The wedding was still 1 week away. Days passed. Veronica didn't call. Didn't message. Nancy and Amika tried to move on. But a storm doesn't pass without damage. Then one morning, Nancy got a message from her cousin. It said, "Call me. It's urgent." Nancy called. What she heard made her heart stop. Your mother is pregnant. Her cousin said, what? Nancy asked, shaking. She says it's Amika's child. The phone dropped from Nancy's hand. Her knees gave out. She fainted. Amika rushed her to the hospital. She woke up hours later. Her eyes were full of tears. Her heart full of pain. Amika tried to explain. I swear to you, I never touched her. Not even once. Nancy believed him. Deep down, she knew her mother was capable of anything. Even this. Decided to go to the village to find Veronica. To face her, when they got there, Veronica was sitting under a tree, fanning herself like a queen. Nancy walked up to her. Is it true? Veronica smiled. I don't lie. Amika stepped forward. You're lying. I never touched you. Veronica laughed. It doesn't matter. The world will believe me. And when they do, your wedding will be over. Your name will be dirty. And your love. Finished, Nancy stared at her mother with broken eyes. Why? She asked. Why would you do this to me? Veronica looked at her daughter and said, because I never had what you have, and if I can't have it, neither will you. Tears rolled down Nancy's face. May God forgive you, she said, turning away. They left the village. The news spread. Fast. Some believed Veronica, some didn't. The wedding was canceled. Nancy and Amika took time apart. But months later, something happened. A DNA test. Amika took the test quietly, with a lawyer. The result. The baby was not his. It wasn't even close. When the news came out, Veronica vanished. She disappeared from town. No one saw her again. Nancy and Amika slowly found their way back to each other. They healed. They forgave. They married in a quiet ceremony. No loud music, no big party, just love. And truth. Because sometimes the biggest danger is not from the outside world, it is from your own blood. And sometimes the person who gives you life can also try to destroy it.